150 million of anything before? Neither have I. But that's approximately how much money was laundered internally through FIFA, the corporation. I'm David, and I'm David Shepard, and I'm here to give you a speech about the corruption scandal involving FIFA that was released in 2015. This is relevant because Federation International de Football Association, also known as FIFA, is the governing body for soccer, which is the largest and most popular sport around the world. If anything happens, if there's any problems with FIFA at all, there could be major repercussions for the game of soccer all around the world. I'm a credible source for this because I've played soccer for 15 years. I've also been a referee under the rules of FIFA for the last 7 years and plan to do so in the future. I've also thoroughly researched this topic and have kept up with this topic since it was released. Today, I want to tell you, before I can talk about the scandal itself, I want to explain to you what FIFA is and what it does for soccer, and go into how, what exactly happened during the scandal, and how the scandal affects soccer up until this point. So let's kick it off by going into what FIFA is and what FIFA is and what it does for soccer. So according to publicradiointernational.org, is the largest governing body is the international governing body for all forms of soccer around the world. There are 211 member nations that are a part of FIFA and are under FIFA, and their headquarters are in Zurich, Switzerland, which means they are under the law of Switzerland. They have a lot of revenue. Their largest revenue comes from the World Cup, both men and women's. It accounts for about 90% of it, which the World Cup is the largest global event ever. It happens every 4 years. But 70% of this, the last 4-year period recorded, there was $5.7 billion in revenue. 70% of this goes to an account called Federal or Football Development, with no overseeing director and no eyes that watch it, no particular place where that money goes. But we'll get to that later. Another things FIFA does for soccer is, according to FIFA.com, they have a board called the International Football Association Board, where it is an internal voting board where FIFA will take soccer rule changes and send it to this board, and this board is a board within FIFA, and once the international, the IFAB votes on it, they send it back to FIFA, so they have no checks and balances, nobody checks on it. Now I'm done with telling you about what FIFA is. I'll head into what exactly happened during the scandal. So in May 2015, the United States Department of Justice released a lengthy investigation that uncovered decades of bribery over $150 million. 14 members of FIFA, including 9 current and former executives, were indicted on charges of federal racketeering, wire fraud, and laundering. One of the main, FIFA was corrupt beforehand, but in 2000, when Sepp Blatter, the former president for 17 years, was elected, that's when it really came to light. And he resigned actually a week after the indictment came down on those 14 members. According to Christina Morales, who is a Duke graduate student, in 2002, Sepp Blatter took over management illegally and did it so where they could manipulate and benefit and profit for third-party organizations. Sepp Blatter actually used that football developmental account, the 70% of their revenue, to buy votes for his re-election. He paid the 211 nations money so he could get it down. I actually have a quote by him. He says, "Anyone who calls me corrupt because FIFA is corrupt, I can only shake my head. Everybody who says something like that should go to jail." Which I find funny because he is the head honcho. He's the president there for 17 years. He should know what's going on in his organization. But he continues to turn the blame away. The corruption scandal really came about when the United States Department of Justice and Swiss authorities announced an investigation into the selection of Russia and Qatar being selected for the World Cup host countries in 2018 and 2022 respectively. The World Cup's been going on since 1930, and it happens every 4 years, and it has always been played in the summer. And in 2022, it'll be the first time it gets played in the winter, with the final game coming a day before Christmas Eve. Another thing with Qatar is they have going into it, most countries have infrastructure, right? Well, Qatar was chosen to host this country, or host the World Cup, the largest global event, and they have no infrastructure. They don't have facilities to hold the teams, hotels, stadiums, so they started building it in 2010 when they won the bid. Which is weird because 5 other countries who put in the bid all had the infrastructure available and already set in place. So that obviously shows you something. But countries buying World Cup bids is not the only corruption that goes on within FIFA. Mohammed bin Hanan, who ran for president in 2010, quickly announced his resignation from the corporation, from FIFA, after a scandal came up that he had offered $40,000 to members of the Caribbean Football Union for votes for president, so Qatar could get this bid. So now that I've told you about the scandal, I want to pass it to how it's affected soccer up until this point. So there's no visible changes in the number of people that play soccer and the way the game's played, but it has affected FIFA itself because they have lost sponsorships over this whole corruption scandal. The 3 largest, notably, are Castrol, which is an oil company, Johnson & Johnson, which is a medical manufacturing company, and Continental, which is a German tire company. Other notable companies that have expressed their displeasure but have not revoked their sponsorships include Visa, Coca-Cola, Adidas, DP, and Hyundai. And according to Steve Hendricks, a writer for the Washington Post, this scandal being front page news in the U.S. it has hurt the increasing popularity for soccer because it has put its governing body in such a negative light. And I've seen this firsthand because throughout my refereeing career, once this came about, on 3 separate occasions, I've had parents whose children are playing in the game ask me my opinion on the corruption scandal. So that just shows you that the parents of the kids who are playing soccer, they pay attention to this and they care about it because their kids playing the sport. So in this speech, I've explained exactly what FIFA is and what it does for soccer, what happened during the multi-million-dollar corruption scandal, and how it has affected soccer up until this point. And I want to leave you with this. If you drop a $100 bill every single second, continuously, it would take 2.5 weeks to accumulate $150 million.